so that you don't become a serial abuser of children and underage people using these apps. With those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I beg to support that petition with the amendment that we do not consider the outright banning of any app. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me echo the words of the Leader of Majority. Indeed, of course, the petitioner is within his rights to petition the House on this very, very important matter. But, Mr. Speaker, I am of the view, very, very strong view, that in this digital age, we cannot as a country afford to live in isolation. We cannot operate from some island. This age knows no boundaries, it knows no borders, and therefore, it will be foolhardy even to contemplate banning not only TikTok, but any other app for that matter. And secondly, Mr. Speaker, we are living in difficult times when unemployment levels have basically reached very high, very high. And our youth are looking forward to getting opportunities for employment. And these platforms have actually provided avenues and opportunities for our youth to get employment, especially for those who are able to create content. As a country which is responsible, we should be looking forward to opening up these spaces for the young people to continue to eke out decent living, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, finally, of course, I will urge the relevant committee to take its time and interrogate this matter adequately and come up with the appropriate recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you. Minority Leader. Jerry.
Honorable Speaker, you know the Majority Leader adversely mentioned me that I was on TikTok where you were giving or reading the very meaningful petition. Honorable Speaker, I can confirm that I am indeed a subscriber of TikTok. I am a very popular content creator there, but I try to empower children, Honorable Speaker. What I want to say is social media is not only an avenue that is open to people who want to abuse the platform, Honorable Speaker. It is also an avenue for many young Kenyans who are trying to eke a living, Honorable Speaker. It's also an avenue for marketing. So we cannot, as this House, say that we want to do away with TikTok, Honorable Speaker. Young people are at the center of so many challenges, Honorable Speaker. The high rising unemployment levels, and TikTok is an avenue where some young people are earning up to Kenya shillings 300,000 per month, Honorable Speaker, money that they would not make on the regular market, Honorable Speaker. We need to ensure that even if we are alive to the dangers of social media, Honorable Speaker, perhaps what we can be discussing or what we can front is to see how we can regulate abuse of content creation in social media, Honorable Speaker. A lot of these digital content creators, Honorable Speaker, are just people who are trying to put something on their table, Honorable Speaker. I therefore propose that we amend this petition to ensure that we only regulate, Honorable Speaker, the TikTok platform, but not do away with it entirely. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Irene Mayaka.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, I also want to join my colleagues in supporting that the ideal thing to do would not be to ban but to regulate. Honorable Speaker, I just want to, from an IT and audit perspective, I just want to first of all inform the House that number one, even if you ban any application in Kenya, if someone has access to VPN from any other country, they can still access that application. So Honorable Speaker,
Assist Honorable Kajwang is of the old school, so you better...
Honorable Kajwang, VPN is an application that allows you to access application or material accessible in another country, within your country, if you have it on your phone. So what I'm saying is an ultimate ban would not assist anyone. Number two, Honorable Speaker, protect me from the Leader of Minority. Honorable Speaker, number 2, what I'd like to say, and especially to parents, and I'm very encouraged that the Leader of Majority is on TikTok, and I will follow him so that I can oversight him on TikTok. What I want to encourage parents is that you can actually be able on Google to follow up and restrict and monitor what your children are doing on any application. Just ensure that they are registered under your number, and that anytime they access any of these sites that are not consumable to them and that you feel are of not good content, then you can be able to always get in there and actually stop them from accessing. Having said that, Honorable Speaker, I do support my colleagues in saying that we amend this petition to allow us to regulate and not ban, because banning will not be helping us. I thank you.
Rueda.
Asante Bwana Spika. Kama tunavyojua dunia inabadilika. Shetani yako juu zaidi. Hizi TikTok inatusaidia kuonesha maendeleo yetu, na Bwana Spika, mimi nimekuwa nikionyesha mabarabara na mambo mengine, lakini haija trend kama siku nilipoimba tunga mia wangu. Ime trend ile mambo hata si muhimu, ina trend zaidi na natuuza zaidi. Kwa hivyo TikTok isiende pale, ikuwe hapa hapa. TikTok ni mzuri na ikuwe hapo hapo, msitoe.
Yes. Oundo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. For the old geezers like us whose technology found us, we must accept that technology is with us here. And as a country and as regulators and policy makers, the main focus should be to regulate. Honorable Speaker, in any way, the right to petition is enshrined in the Constitution. As long as it's constitutional and legal, we cannot begrudge somebody by bringing a petition. But indeed, with the new modern technology, Honorable Speaker, probably when the Public Petitions Committee seeks to review the same, they need to retweak it, look for the gentleman, listen to him, the fears, and probably also talk to the relevant members, state organs, to ensure that we regulate. Honorable Speaker, of course, some of us who are older ones, we are worried about the contents that the young people are accessing, some of the vulgar languages they are using, but we must accept and live with those kind of realities. That's their way of doing their things. So therefore, I need to ask the Public Petitions Committee to look at it soberly and clearly and ensure that we align the rules and regulations to the modern day era. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
KJ.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And as has been said, this petition is properly before this House. Mr. Speaker, TikTok is a development in ICT coming out of what we are calling the 4th industrial revolution. And if there is anything we have learned from the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd revolutions, is that technological tools are basically that. They are tools. A knife can be used to do good, and a knife can be used to kill. Fire can be used to cook, and fire can be used to burn. So, Mr. Speaker, the business of this House should not be first to throw the baby with the bathwater. TikTok as an entity has committed no crime. It is how it is used, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the heart of that petition goes to the issues of morality. You can never legislate morality, Mr. Speaker. When faced with such an issue, the former President of the United States, Barack Obama, said that the government can never come to your house to switch off the TV. In the same breath, Parliament cannot go to the houses of individuals to switch off TikTok because the children are misusing TikTok. It is up to the parents, the religious institutions, the schools to bring up the issue of morality, not to over legislation on morality. Finally, Mr. Speaker, because this petition will not come to the Committee of Communication, Information and Innovation, I'd like to plead with the Committee on Petitions that when they are looking at this issue, to also look at the computer misuse and cybercrime law that was passed by this House with some provisions suspended by the court. There were some very critical provisions, Mr. Speaker, that would have aided us on dealing with some of the issues that are being raised in this petition. So the Petitions Committee should also propose what it is we can do to unlock some of these provisions in the computer misuse and cybercrime law of the Committee on Communication. So that we can deal with some of these issues. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
KJ, as the chair of that committee, you can suo motu initiate a legislative proposal. You don't have to go to the petitions committee. Yes, member for...
Mr. Speaker, we are very well guided, and true, the committee is doing something. I was just taking advantage of this petition that will be appearing before the petitions committee so that they also add a word to what our committee is doing. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member from Diwa. Give the honorable member the mic. Your mic is not working. Give him a working mic. Take the next. There you are.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is true that you cannot legislate moral standards, but it is also true that you should not provide environment to encourage such behaviors. Mr. Speaker, the impact of these things which are going on now, TikTok is one of them, is yet to be realized. And honorable member, I think as much as they are business-oriented, social-oriented promotions, we have to think of our children. Most children or most parents cannot regulate like we can because of the abilities you have. Very many children are vulnerable. This thing was banned in the US sometime because of the same crime. So even as much as those advantages are being thrown here and there, we have to be conscious of the effect of these platforms. My suggestion, well, we may not do total banning, but those parts that you are calling to be regulated must be properly regulated. There is an element there of time management which it denies our children. In fact, children who are not supervised very well spend more time on these applications and fail in their exams. Second, the addictive element of this has been documented in health circles and is a worrying, is a concern. So yes, we may not totally ban it, but let us put proper regulations to save our children. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity, and I want to be very clear. One is that this is a very good idea that the Committee on Petitions can leverage on and improve. There is nothing that should not be regulated, Mr. Speaker. Even Facebook, when people were misusing it, the owners of Facebook tried to develop some policy guidelines which, if you go against, your account can be disabled. We cannot continue supporting TikTok when our young people are using the same platform to post pictures when they are naked. And even when you go there, and that for you to be allowed to have an account, that you must be of a particular age. There is no control. When a child is 7 years, they pick to mean they are 35 years old. So what we are saying that we must regulate on what should be posted on that TikTok, and I think the Communication Authority and the Ministry of ICT should go beyond not just TikTok, but every other social media platform. Other countries are doing the same. You can't just be posting anything you want on the social media. It must be regulated, Honorable Speaker. This is an idea that the committee should leverage on and improve. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Women Rep Kilifi.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika. Nataka kushukuru aliyeleta petition hii, Mheshimiwa Spika. Nataka kuunga mkono aliyozungumza na marekebisho, kwa sababu ukiangalia TikTok ni muhimu katika kizazi cha sahihi. Kimeleta ufahamu wa watu wengi ambao hawaweza kujulikana kimataifa. Kitu ambacho kinasikitisha ni wachache, Mheshimiwa Spika, wanaoweka mambo yao ya kibinafsi katika mtandao huu. Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi siko TikTok, lakini niko katika zile platform nyingine zote, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, WhatsApp zote. Na nataka kufahamisha Mr. Speaker, mimi ndo mbunge wa pekee Kenya hii ndani ya bunge hili na bunge la seneti kuchaguliwa kuleta impact online in Kenya. Na Ijumaa hii nitakuwa napewa award. Yes. Na nafikiri wale wengine wote wanajua impact yangu imeenda viral dunia nzima na nimekuwa voted in. Kwa hivyo hizi platform zote ni muhimu na ile content ndio muhimu zaidi ya kukufanya wewe uweze kujulikana. Kwa hivyo mimi najivunia kuwa katika hizi, japo siko TikTok. Na haya ya TikTok, nilikuwa nazungumza na mheshimiwa hapa. Wachache tu wasichana ambao wanataka kujulikana kibinafsi wanaweka picha za ngono, ambao kwa hizo mimi nitakuwa tayari turekebishe. Nimuunge mkono chairman wangu wa
TJ Kajwang.
Mr. Speaker, I rise not to ask about VPN, but let me speak on the other side, which I don't think speakers have looked at. Mr. Speaker, the essence of public petitions. I served as the inaugural members that created this committee. I think that the members of public have not understood very well the essence of public petition. We cannot begrudge them, but we need to let them understand exactly what public petitions is all about. If you look at the Constitution and the Standing Order, we are not taking away the duties and the mandates of normal governmental agencies. We only come into play where somebody has tried all he can in his best endeavor and failed to get response from those that are charged with mandates to do these things. For example, the issue that we are speaking about right now properly belongs to the communication agency of the Republic of Kenya. They must go there. They must try to see how that commission will work. They must try to see if there is an opportunity to limit some of these things. We should not be the first port of call. If we did that, we are not able to do all that Wananchi want us to do. So that is the point I wanted to pass across. But secondly, there is right to information. There is right of speech. There is right of privacy. All these things are there. So we as members of parliament must know that we work in...
Your time is up. Honorable members, I want us to stop here on this. Kagombe, I can see you menacing the chair with your hand. I'll give you 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
I want to say that this TikTok cannot be dismissed just like that. I've been seeing Opondo Kaluma trending on TikTok at some point, running away from the studio. And therefore, this app can be used properly. And when used properly, it is good to disseminate information. Mr. Speaker, we have a State Department for Economy and for Digital Economy that is supposed to expand the space in which people communicate. We cannot be seen to be fighting technology. And Mr. Speaker, this government has gone and put on Wi-Fi so that young people can find places to communicate with each other. So I would say that agencies that are supposed to regulate communication, like Communication Authority, they take up their mandate, regulate so that the apps are used properly, like Facebook is used, and Facebook has intelligence, artificial intelligence that is able to sieve the content that is communicated in there. So therefore, Mr. Speaker, I support the motion and I support the petition, but with changes other than banning. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chiforo Mondo, present your constituent's petition. Give him the mic.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to lay a petition regarding delayed adjudication and settlement of residents of Kidomaya Miongoni Village in Vangawad, Kiwegu sublocation, Lungalunga constituency, residing in plot number 12,224. I, the undersigned, on behalf of residents of Lungalunga constituency, draw the attention of the House to the following: that the people of Kidomaya, Miongoni village in Vanga Ward, Kiwegu sublocation, Lungalunga constituency, have occupied a parcel of land registered as plot number 1,224 under the dispute for more than 35 years. They are aware that the 1,506.5 acres of land of conservation restriction number CR 1,583 was granted to one Mr. Velji Parbat, now deceased, under a lease for 33 years. That upon application for extension of lease on 1st June 1980 through the Kwale County Council, Mr. Velji Parbat was granted 27 years and 6 months. That was to elapse on 1st June 2007. That currently, the lease has control management of around 600 acres of the total land on the said plot, while the locals are settled in the remaining land and are worried of impending eviction. That a budget of 3 million was set aside by the county government of Kwale during the 2017-2018 financial year for the purpose of demarcation and survey of the area, considering that the lease was not renewed. That the community had expectation that the area would be adjudicated, formally recognized, settled. However, upon date of adjudication is yet to commence in the area. Mr. Speaker, that the following several attempts by the community to resolve the dispute by involving Mr. Varj Parbat's son, the county government of Kwale, and Dr. Suazuri, the former chair of National Land Commission, were futile. That efforts to have issues resolved by the relevant government agencies, including the leadership of the county government of Kwale, have proved futile. And that the issues in respect of which this particular petition is made are not pending before any court of law or in any constitutional legal body. Therefore, your humble petitioners pray that the National Assembly, through the Public Petition Committee, to inquire the ownership of the land occupied by residents of Kidomaya, Miongoni village in Vanga Ward, Kiwegu sublocation, Lungalunga sub-county, plot number 12,224, to investigate the cause of continued delay in carrying out adjudication and settlement of the residents of Kidomaya, Miongoni village in Vanga Ward, Kiwegu sublocation, Lungalunga constituency. 3, to recommend that the government, under the 1 million acre compulsory land acquisition program, acquire the land for the local residents, and that the land be adjudicated so as to ensure that residents acquire title deeds, and make any other recommendation or action it deems fit in addressing the plight of the petitioners. And your petitioners will ever pray. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Chivoromondo. The petition is committed to the Public Petitions Committee. Chairman, at least you are in the House today. Those two petitions should be processed in the next 60 days. Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Majority? Okay.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 15th August 2023. Quarterly Economic and Budgetary Review Report for the fourth quarter for the financial year 2022-2023, the period ending 30th June 2023 from National Treasury and Planning. 2, the budget speech of the East African Community at the 4th meeting of the first session of the 5th Assembly in Arusha, Tanzania for the year 2023-2024. 3, report of the national government guarantees for the fiscal year 2022-2023, 1st July 2022 to 30th June 2023, from National Treasury and Economic Planning. 4, second quarterly report of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission for the year covering the period 1st April 2023 to 30th June 2023 from the Office of Attorney General. 5, reports of the Auditor General and financial statements in respect of the following institutions for the year ended 30th June 2022 and the certificates therein. Bamadonye Vocational Training Center, Kandaria Vocational Training Center, Buolo Vocational Training Center, Ebukanga Technical and Vocational College, Sirisia Technical and Vocational College, Lake Basin Development Authority, and 6, report of the Auditor General and financial statements in respect of the following constituencies for the year ended 30th June 2022 and the certificates therein. Githunguri Constituency, Embakasi East Constituency, Embakasi South Constituency, Funyula and Kuria West constituencies. Honorable Speaker, as I laid those papers, Honorable Speaker, I beg your indulgence. Honorable Speaker, you did notice at the rise of the House, at the beginning of the House this afternoon, we didn't have quorum. Honorable Speaker, understandably, because I have seen you have noted that the chair of the Petitions Committee is in the House, and I must take this opportunity to commend him. Because since the other week, he is now very consistent on the floor. Honorable Speaker, we were not lacking quorum because members were absent for no reason. You are aware, Honorable Speaker, that one of our colleagues, the Honorable Member for Njoro, Honorable Charity Kadhambi, lost her husband last week. And allow me, Honorable Speaker, to take this opportunity to convey, on behalf of the National Assembly, our heartfelt condolences to Honorable Charity Kadhambi Chepkonyi on the loss of her beloved husband, who is being laid to rest today, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, we are aware you are also supposed to be there. I was supposed to be at that funeral, but Honorable Speaker, we are ably represented by a member of the Speaker's panel, the Honorable Martha Wangare, member for Gilgil, who is representing both yourself and myself, and many of our members from across the aisle, Honorable Speaker, are in Njoro, condoling with our colleague, Honorable Charity. And therefore, on behalf of the House, on behalf of yourself, Honorable Speaker, and all the members from both the Kenya Kwanza and the Azimio Coalition, we take this opportunity to convey our heartfelt condolences to Charity and her family and the greater people of Njoro constituency that are represented by Honorable Charity Kadhambi. As we do that, Honorable Speaker, we pray that the Almighty God will rest the soul of Mr. Chepkonyi in eternal peace as we continue to pray for the family and the people of Njoro who have also lost a father figure in the spouse to their Member of Parliament. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Majority Leader. I had actually allowed the women rep for Keriche to make a statement, but Mrs. Honorable Kemei, I think we let it rest there. We all mourn with your colleagues, Charity Kadhambi, and may the good Lord rest her spouse's soul in eternal peace. As the Majority Leader says, Mother Wangari is there representing me, Majority Leader and all of us, and we leave it there. Yes, yes, Rosa.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. And I just want to add something, if you'll oblige me, Mr. Speaker, just to applaud the late Mr. Chepkonyi for having given Honorable Kadhambi an opportunity to actually get into the field of contesting in politics against men and giving her the support, given that our politics is still by and large quite patriarchal. So I just want to applaud him, and I join the Leader of Majority in wishing Charity and her family strength and comfort that can only come from the Almighty God. May his soul rest in eternal peace, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. Next order. Yeah. Order, sorry. Before we go to the next order, honorable members, allow me to acknowledge the following schools. In the Speaker's Gallery, we have Ogande Girls from Homa Bay Town, Homa Bay. Nyambunwa, I don't know if it's a boys' school or girls' school, from Bonchari, Kisii. In the public gallery, we have Nyondia Secondary School from Naivasha, Nakuru. Sikri Junior Academy from Kaspul, Migori. Eldoret Achievers School from Kapsabet, Uasin Gishu. From Kapseret to Uasin Gishu, I believe. St. Catherine's Girls from Funyula, Busia. Alpha Junior from Ainamoy, Uasin Gishu. Marimu Secondary from Kipipiri, Nyandarua. AIC Saniak Academy from Chesumei, Nandi. Sunrise Academy from Moiben, Uasin Gishu. Bambino Academy from Kilifi South, Kilifi. Thome Academy from Kiambu. Rogena Primary from Suba, Homa Bay. St. Joseph's Primary from Kwanza, Trans Nzoia. Honorable members, I've been requested by the Honorable Kaluma to welcome the schools, and you can speak on behalf of all of us.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the honor to welcome all students from all learning institutions to the National Assembly, which is the House of Parliament. And more particularly, Honorable Speaker, let me welcome Uganda Girls. At home, we call the school the Brown Belt Movement. But Honorable Speaker and members, there is something very special about Uganda Girls. Not just being the best girls' school in my constituency and the other side, but this is the school which produced Dr. Ida Betty Odinga, the wife of the only Prime Minister surviving in Kenya who we have around. So I welcome all students to Parliament, Honorable Speaker, and I wish them well as they learn to serve Kenya in future in the various fields they will go into. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Vice Chair, Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence, and Foreign.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 15th August 2023. Report of the Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence, and Foreign Relations on its inspection visit to Kenyan embassies in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the state of Kuwait held from 5th to 12th May 2023. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Yes, Owen Bayer.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to ask you that we have two members of Parliament, Honorable Pareño and Tonkei, who are dressed in a manner that suggests that they are not in Parliament. I think there's a code in Parliament, and I don't think this House has allowed that kind of dressing. Honorable Speaker, I think you need to make a ruling whether these two honorable members are properly dressed. They can enjoy regalia from their traditions, but is it parliamentary, especially in the National Assembly? I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Tonkei, what are you celebrating today?
Honorable Speaker, next week, Daro County, Samburu County, Laikipia, plus Kajiado County and Ile Chams from Baringo County will be celebrating their Culture Week, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to request, Honorable Speaker, that when we see us dressed this way, in fact, I'm even requesting this House and Kenya to adopt this kind of dress code as the Kenyan dress code. Mheshimiwa Speaker, I am here to celebrate the Kabasai culture. Thank you. African.
Honorable Tongei and Agnes, I'm not satisfied that you are properly dressed, but I will give you a reprieve. I have just sent away quietly a member who came here dressed in an inappropriate manner to go and dress up. We don't want to name and shame any member, but certainly if we allow that kind of direction, tomorrow Kamketi will turn up dressed in skins of Colobos monkeys. Others will dress in something different. And you remember I sent away Kagombe when he faked to be Mgorino. So we will give you a reprieve now, but just know that you are inappropriately dressed, and that kind of dressing will not be allowed here. Yes, Julius Sunguli. Is it because the two ladies are Maasai?
Mr. Speaker, you and I went around the Commonwealth and drafted the standing orders.
Yes.
But I know that you are more knowledgeable because you have been practicing them more. And I would plead, just for clarity, Mr. Speaker, that you make it very clear what the dressing code for women is. Because to the best of my understanding, and just look at it, look at the way Honorable Rebecca Tonge is dressed. It makes her more beautiful. And the texture of her dress is very good. You know, it's made of cotton, and it's just that she has wore more beads than before. Mr. Speaker, can you just elaborate to me
Honorable Sunguli,
what exactly is wrong with it?
Dressing is not supposed to elicit amorous considerations. You're out of order. Yes. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, before I give notice, you know, you quickly dismissed that point of order by the Honorable Sunkuli. And I was going to object, Honorable Speaker, to that point of order on the basis that he has used the word more. He said that the Honorable Tongei looks more beautiful in that dress. And I was going to protest because ordinarily the Honorable Tongei is a very beautiful lady with a dress and even in another dress. Honorable Speaker,
Majority Leader.
I know there are members who expected me to say other things. I said in that dress and even in another dress. I know what Honorable Kagombe expected me to say.
You may be required to give further and better particulars, but go on.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I therefore beg to give notice to the following motion, Honorable Speaker, that aware that Article 1.1 of the Constitution provides that all sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya and shall be exercised only in accordance with the Constitution. Further aware that Article 1.2 of the Constitution provides that the people of Kenya may exercise their sovereign power either directly or through their democratically elected representatives. Conscious that Article 10 of the Constitution espouses the national values and principles of governance, which include the rule of law, democracy, and participation of the people. Further conscious that Article 94 of the Constitution provides that Parliament manifests the diversity of the nation, represents the will of the people, and exercises its sovereignty, recognizing that there is need to embrace consultation, dialogue, and consensus building as a way of resolving issues of concern to the people of Kenya. Cognizant that despite the constitutional and legal reforms on the electoral processes and the electoral laws. After every election cycle, there has been mistrust of electoral outcomes, leaving the country divided. Further cognizant that efforts to enhance constitutionalism, the rule of law, and respect for human rights need to be promoted, aware that there have been previous calls and attempts at building consensus on issues of concern to the people of Kenya through bipartisan engagement in Parliament, appreciating the need to establish an inclusive forum for dialogue, consultation, and consensus building in seeking to promote the peace, stability, and prosperity of the country, and acknowledging that the majority party in Parliament and the minority party in Parliament have agreed to embrace dialogue through the establishment of a National Dialogue Committee to recommend a way forward on issues of concern to the people of Kenya. Now, therefore, the Houses of Parliament resolve as follows. One, that the two Houses of Parliament establish a National Dialogue Committee consisting of 10 members to represent the Kenya Kwanza Alliance Party, Kenya Kwanza, a coalition constituting the majority party of the Parliament of the Republic of Kenya, and Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party, Azimio, a coalition forming the minority party of the Parliament of the Republic of Kenya. Two, that each coalition shall appoint 5 members to the National Dialogue Committee. 3, that the membership of the National Dialogue Committee shall be drawn from Parliament and outside Parliament. 4, that the National Dialogue Committee shall comprise the following members to represent Kenya Kwanza. 1, the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, Delegation Leader. 2, Governor Cecily Mbarire, Deputy Delegation Leader. 3, the Honorable Senator Aaron Cheruyot. 4, the Honorable Omar Hassan Omar. And 5, the Honorable Catherine Wambilianga. 5, that the National Dialogue Committee shall comprise the following members to represent Azimio. 1, His Excellency Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, Delegation Leader. 2, the Honorable Opiyo Wandayi, Deputy Delegation Leader. 3, the Honorable Amina Mnyazi. 4, the Honorable Eugene Wamalwa. And 5, the Honorable Senator Okongo Omogeni. 6, that the mandate of the National Dialogue Committee shall be to facilitate dialogue and consensus building and recommend appropriate constitutional, legal, and policy reforms on issues of concern to the people of Kenya to be framed by the National Dialogue Committee in line with the Constitution and the laws of the Republic of Kenya and respecting the functional and institutional integrity of state organs. Therefore, the Houses of Parliament approve that the technical teams representing Kenya Kwanza and Azimio shall support the National Dialogue Committee, that the technical team representing Kenya Kwanza shall comprise the following persons. 1, Dr. Mudhomi Dhiankolu. 2, Dr. Linda Musumba. 3, Dr. Duncan Ojwang and Nick Biketi. 9, that the technical team representing Azimio shall comprise the following persons. Honorable Jeremiah Kioni, Professor Adams Olo, Abubakar Zain Abubakar, and Lynn Ngugi. 10, that further the National Dialogue Committee shall be assisted by 2 officers designated as communication secretaries, one of whom shall be appointed by the leader of the majority party and the other appointed by the leader of the minority party. The Houses of Parliament further resolve 11, that the National Dialogue Committee shall formulate and adopt a framework agreement to guide the bipartisan talks. 12, that the National Dialogue Committee shall report to the leadership of Kenya Kwanza and Azimio coalitions within 60 days, and after that submit its report to Parliament. 13, that in the execution of its mandate, the National Dialogue Committee may invite, engage with, and consider submissions from stakeholders, collect views from the public, and engage experts, professionals, and other technical resource persons as necessary. 14, that the National Dialogue Committee shall determine its own rules of procedure. 15, that the speakers and clerks of both houses of parliament shall provide secretariat and other necessary support to facilitate the work of the National Dialogue Committee. Honorable Speaker, this motion is co-sponsored by myself and the Honorable Pio Wandai, MGH MP, and the Leader of Minority. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice for that motion and beg the Honorable Kamket to note point number 13.
Yes. Minority Leader is a co-sponsored motion. I just want your concurrence in 1 minute.
Actually, Honorable Speaker, I do concur with the motion whose notice has just been given by the Leader of the Majority Party. And let me just hasten to add that this is such an important moment for this country, because it reminds us that every other time this country has basically gone to the precipice, has reached the cliff, it has always pulled back, and we can't take it for granted. We must be thankful to the Almighty for always coming in to rescue us. So I think we need to seize this moment and very, very openly and sincerely look at the issues that confront our nation and try to deal with them in a manner that will not only secure our country, but also make it safer for the future generations that will be coming. Otherwise, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity.
Honorable members, that motion will be allocated time tomorrow, immediately after your engagement with the Minister for Tourism. It will be the next item on agenda. So majority and minority leadership be in the House to prosecute the motion tomorrow. Next order. Chairperson, Defense.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that this House adopts the report of the Advisory Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations on its inspection visit to Kenyan embassies in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the state of Kuwait held from the 5th to 12th of May 2023, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 15th August 2022. I thank you.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements. Order number 8, inquiry into the maize flour subsidy program for the financial year 2022-2023. Question to be put.
Order, honorable members. Order, Dr. Nyikal. Take the nearest seats. Honorable members, I now put the question at order number 8, that this House adopts the report of the Departmental Committee on Agriculture and Livestock on its inquiry into the maize flour subsidy program for the financial year 2022-23, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 7th June 2023. As members of that opinion say aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 9, motion, consideration of the excise duty amendment regulations 2023. Question to be put.
Honorable members, I now put the question at order number 9, which is that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Delegated Legislation on its consideration of the excise duty amendment regulations 2023, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 1st August 2023, and pursuant to Section 15.4 of the Statutory Instruments Act 2023, approves the excise duty amendment regulations 2023 published as legal notice number 40 of 2023. As members of that opinion say aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 10, motion. Consideration of reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements for various funds. Question to be put.
Order, honorable members. Order. Member for Fafi. That is not how you should be when the speaker is on his feet. I now put the question at order number 10, which is that this House adopts the report of the Special Funds Accounts Committee on its consideration of the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements for the Women Enterprise Fund, Coffee Cherry Advance Revolving Fund, Strategic Food Reserve Trust Fund, Equalization Fund, Mechanical and Transport Fund, National Research Fund, Youth Enterprise Development Fund, Uwezo Fund, and Civil Servants Housing Scheme Fund, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 15th June 2023. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 11, the Meteorological Bill, National Assembly Bill number 37 of 2023, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to provide for establishment of the Kenya Meteorological Service Authority, regulation, coordination, monitoring, management, provision, and control of meteorological services and for connected purposes. Order number 12, the Food and Feed Safety Control Coordination Bill, National Assembly Bill number 21 of 2023, second reading.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that we read, goes in the second reading of the Food and Feed Safety Control Coordination Bill, National Assembly Bill number 21 of 2023. I beg to move that it now be read a second time. Honorable Speaker, let me first take this opportunity, Honorable Speaker, to thank the Committee on the Committee Health and the Committee Agriculture, ably represented by their chairs, the Honorable Dr. Mutunga and the Honorable Pukose. Honorable Speaker, let me also note that these two chairs are among the, unlike many other chairs that we were discussing in the House Business Committee, the Chair Health and the Chair Agriculture have been very consistent and taking their work very seriously in the House, and indeed, they took a very short time to process this bill, being a bill that was being considered by their two committees. I must commend them for the short time that they took in considering and tabling a very good report. Honorable Speaker, access to safe food, as espoused in our Constitution, Article 43(1)(c), is a fundamental right. Honorable Speaker, if you read that together with Article 46(1) of the Constitution, then food safety is indeed not just a fundamental right that is guaranteed by our Constitution to all Kenyans, but a necessity, Honorable Speaker. And that is why, being a food-related bill, we also involve the Committee on Health, because a lot to do with food safety relates to how food is grown. That is a matter that is to be looked at by the Committee on Agriculture, the harvesting, processing, transportation, retailing, distribution, storage, how you prepare food, that food for consumption, Honorable Speaker. And the Committee on Health had invaluable input in the both committees' report as to how you will prepare food in a way that you safeguard its safety and ensure that it's food that is fit for human consumption, Honorable Speaker. And not just food that is safe for human consumption, but also feeds that are safe for animal consumption or for our livestock, Honorable Speaker. And the same livestock, Honorable Speaker, also produces food in terms of meat or milk that will then be consumed by human beings. Therefore, it's quite imperative that we ensure both the food that is being grown and processed for human consumption is safe and secure, as well as that food that is being grown and processed as animal feeds for both domestic and even non-domestic animals, Honorable Speaker, since they, in a way, also integrate with human beings in their different environments. Honorable Speaker, food safety means that all measures put in place to ensure that the food will not cause harm to the consumer or to human beings who will consume that food, or to the animals, Honorable Speaker, that consume, when it is prepared and or eaten according to its intended use. Honorable Speaker, the Food and Safety Control Coordination Bill, which, Honorable Speaker, as I've said, has already been considered by the two committees, seeks to do a number of things. One is to provide for the coordination of the public institutions for the control of food and feed safety. Honorable Speaker, you realize previously we have had too many institutions that are dealing with the question of food control and food, both food and feed safety. Honorable Speaker, we are never certain who is it that we are certain that the food or the animal feeds that our animals are consuming is secure and safe for consumption. The bill also seeks to establish the Office of the Food Safety Controller, a person now who will be charged with that responsibility. And we know we now have a one-stop shop of an office that we know the Office of the Food Safety Controller has cleared certain foods for human consumption, then Kenyans can be certain that that is food that is both secure and safe for their consumption. The bill also provides for the role of the county governments in food and feed safety, because, Honorable Speaker, you do realize a lot of changes since the 2010 Constitution came in with certain functions, many in the agricultural sector other than policy formulation, Honorable Speaker, both in the agricultural and health sectors. A lot of the other work is designated under Schedule 4 of our Constitution to our county governments. And therefore, we seek in this bill to provide for the role that county governments will play in ensuring that how farmers produce food, how they transport their food, how processors of food process their food, and even how it is packaged, Honorable Speaker, that these food and also animal feeds are safe and secure for production. Honorable Speaker, the bill further seeks to ensure that there is supply of safe food and safe feed to consumers. And this being a critical function of both the national and county governments in fulfillment of consumer protection rights, Honorable Speaker, we have therefore ensured that within this bill there are modalities in which both the county governments and the national governments will coordinate through the Office of the Food and Feed Safety Controller, and the roles that have been designated under this bill or act, whenever it's passed, Honorable Speaker, to ensure that both levels of government play their role in ensuring that consumers in this country, and indeed even outside the country, for food and feed items that will be exported out of Kenya, are fit for consumption, and therefore consumer interests and consumer rights are protected. Honorable Speaker, the bill also seeks to ensure that food is safely produced, as I said, also distributed, marketed, and prepared for human consumption from the farm to consumption. Clause 3 of this bill, Honorable Speaker, outlines the objectives, I've said, which are as follows. One, to effectively coordinate the performance of the functions of the competent authorities and enhance accountability in the implementation of official control. Honorable Speaker, as members may be aware, this bill shall apply to every competent authority and every person conducting food business or feeds business. The guiding principles provided for in Clause 5 for the implementation of this bill shall be as follows. One, Honorable Speaker, is the protection of human life and health. As I said, Honorable Speaker, right from food production all the way to consumption, through processing, through its marketing, we must ensure that we protect both human life and health. Two is the protection of consumer interests in the conduct of food business and feed business. Honorable Speaker, in this country, in the past we have seen, especially feed manufacturers, Honorable Speaker, who produce animal feeds for consumption by animals that will then either be consumed as livestock, as meat, or milk, Honorable Speaker. Others, like our poultry farmers, are consuming animal feeds that have been produced, one, under very unhygienic conditions, two, in environments where even the feed is exposed to elements that are harmful to the human body. And Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Dr. Nyikal, who has served as the Director of Public Health, will tell you there is a huge bearing in relation to the prevalence of certain non-communicable diseases and the feed that our animals feed on, and consequently human beings consume those animals, be it in poultry, be it milk, or be it beef or pork, Honorable Speaker. And there are indeed, there is scientific evidence that there are certain diseases that have been transmitted to human beings as a result of consumption of food that came from animals that had consumed feeds that were not safely produced or that were not fit for consumption by human beings, and therefore should never have been consumed by animals that will then become food to human beings. 3, Honorable Speaker, it seeks to the promotion of the use of scientific-based risk analysis. Honorable Speaker, this is very important because, as I was saying in my earlier statement there, without any scientific-based risk analysis, all manufacturers of animal feeds, for instance, Honorable Speaker, or even human food, have no basis of determining what ingredients they put in the feeds that they are producing. Honorable Speaker, you find people who are buying feed nutrients and importing them from other countries. In some instances, Honorable Speaker, we have seen instances where people import nutrients that are banned in their home countries, and they are then utilized to produce animal feeds here, and they consequently become harmful to our health. No wonder, Honorable Speaker, the prevalence of certain cancers. And again, Dr. Nyikal will bear me witness that there are indeed certain cancers. And I think the Committee on Health did also note that during their deliberations, that there are certain cancers whose prevalence in a way can be connected to the kind of feeds that are fed to animals, and then human beings consume products from those animals. Therefore, with the promotion and use of scientific-based risk analysis, we shall therefore be in a position where our country will be able to use scientific-based risk analysis to determine whether certain nutrients are useful to our human bodies and our animals, and whether they are safe for both animal and human consumption. 4, Honorable Speaker, is the promotion of food safety and feed safety, which I don't need to overemphasize. The 5th, Honorable Speaker, is the promotion of fair trade practices in the conduct of food business and feed business. Honorable Speaker, as I mentioned, the largest culprits, Honorable Speaker, are the producers of animal feeds, our livestock feed producers. And the Honorable Agnes Pareyo will tell you, because she comes from a livestock rearing community in Narok North and the entire of Narok County, that very innocent pastoralist farmers are made to buy feeds that are produced by business people who are engaging in very unfair trade practices, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, there are no standards as to the level of nutrients, whether it's vitamins, whether it's calcium, whether it's proteins or carbohydrates that you need to input in animal feeds. And because nobody is regulating these people, they produce feeds that are filled with carbohydrates and proteins and no vitamin or mineral contents. And gullible farmers, because of these unfair trade practices, are allowed to market, the traders are allowed to market these feeds to very gullible farmers in our villages and in our rural areas. And the farmers innocently buy the feeds, believing that the feeds will allow their animals to gain weight and produce more milk or beef products. But woe unto them, Honorable Speaker, they end up spending a lot of money without any meaningful input onto the animal health, of their animals or even increasing productivity. Honorable Speaker, because this government has purposed to ensure that we increase productivity, not just of the food that we are producing, Honorable Speaker, and that is why you have seen the President overemphasize on the need to use fertilizer. And I'm glad that the government, as from last week, Honorable Speaker, has now reduced the cost of our subsidized fertilizer going to our farmers, right from the 7,000 shillings that was there before elections, Honorable Speaker, to 3,500. And last week, the President did announce that the subsidized fertilizer now will go at a price of 2,500 shillings, all in an effort to increase productivity of our food productivity in the country. The same, Honorable Speaker, goes to increasing productivity of our livestock farmers to ensure, Honorable Speaker, that our farmers can be able to feed their animals and they're able to gain weight and they can be able to sell them for meat products. Those that are producing milk, Honorable Speaker, are able to produce more milk or more liters per cow than they could produce earlier. But this can only be possible if we have a system where the food safety regulator or the food, this office of the food safety controller can assure farmers who are buying animal feeds for their dairy cattle that that feed will increase the productivity of their animals, and therefore put a little bit more coins or more money into the people's pockets, as we did promise during our campaigns, Honorable Speaker, that ours will be about what we call pesa mfukoni, or putting more money into the pockets of our farmers, both our pastoral farmers and our crop farmers. Honorable Speaker, the last is to increase efficiency in the performance of official control. As I said, Honorable Speaker, the myriad of agencies and authorities that have been regulating our feed and food safety, there hasn't been any efficiency in how our food and feed, either production to processing to consumption, Honorable Speaker, is being controlled. But now there will be greater efficiency with the enactment of this bill. And as I said, with the creation of the Office of Food Safety Controller, that is in Clause 6 of this bill, this will be established as a body corporate and a state office as defined under Article 260Q of the Constitution. Honorable Speaker, the bill further provides that the county governments shall perform the following functions with respect to food safety and feed safety. Honorable Speaker, as I mentioned, it's important to distinguish the two roles of the two levels of government. Therefore, the bill has gone to list the following as a function of the county governments. One is to implement and enforce food safety and feed safety measures. Two is to license and exercise official control of persons who conduct food business and feed business. Because, Honorable Speaker, the committees did note during their deliberations and their scrutiny of this bill and in their engagements with stakeholders that there are many people who are producing food in their backyards, others are producing animal feeds in their farms without being licensed, and therefore nobody really knows what ingredients these people are using. Many others are also importing ingredients, as I said, some mineral nutrients that are even banned in their countries of origin, but are being shipped to our country and being incorporated into our feeds for our livestock. Three is to conduct capacity building on food safety and feed safety. Of course, as I mentioned, amongst our farmers, because they have that task, our county governments have agricultural extension officers who will therefore be able to build and enhance capacity building on food safety and feed safety with our farmers and consumers back in our constituency and in our backyards. Four is to conduct public awareness on matters of food safety and feed safety. The county governments will also prepare county food safety and feed safety reports. Six, they will also provide a platform for the consultation and cooperation of county governments and stakeholders in the implementation of a multi-annual control plan. Seven, they will conduct audits to ascertain compliance and enforcement of food safety and feed safety measures. Honorable Speaker, this is quite important because, as I said, what has been lacking is a system where even our county governments can enforce those who are licensed to produce, whether they are producing food or feeds, animal feeds, Honorable Speaker, there lacks a system where our county government officers can be able to scrutinize whether all these food and feed producers are in compliance with the law, whether they're in compliance with the relevant health and feed safety measures. Therefore, the county governments now will be able to institute such control measures and conduct regular audits in all enterprises and institutions, Honorable Speaker, that are producing food and feeds, either for animals or for human beings. Honorable Speaker, they also coordinate food safety and feed safety activities. They will also regulate and enforce official control, and finally monitor and evaluate implementation of the multi-annual control plan. Honorable Speaker, I don't need to belabor all the other functions of the national government because these are provided for in the bill, and members will be able to scrutinize the bill. And I believe those who have been able to look at the committee report will see the issues that were raised by stakeholders during engagement with the two committees, both on the health concerns of the animal feeds, especially that our animals are consuming, and also concerns on the handling of food, right from post-harvest, Honorable Speaker. And I must commend again the Kenya Kwanza administration, because last week again His Excellency the President did announce that in anticipation of the bumper harvest, especially of the maize, following the maize subsidy program, the government is now investing in acquiring or in the procurement of food and maize dryers to ensure that all the food that will be harvested this year is handled safely. Honorable Speaker, you know from the area you come from in Uasin Gishu County, crossing all over to Trans Nzoia County. And indeed, last week, Honorable Speaker, even as I traversed Nyeri County, I noticed in Narumoro, in Kieni constituency, and I'm happy Honorable Shieni Wairaina is here. I saw farmers who had spread their maize by roadsides to dry their maize, Honorable Speaker. And these are some of the issues that this bill will be speaking to ensure that farmers are not drying their maize out in the sun by the roadsides. Because, Honorable Speaker, when you do that, you expose the maize and other crops that we dry using those traditional drying methods to other elements like lead that is coming from the vehicle exhaust systems. That lead gets embedded onto the maize, and in a way, Honorable Speaker, it ends up in being harmful to our bodies. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, we must commend the government that now government is taking measures to ensure that when farmers produce maize, they will be able to dry their maize in an environment that is safe, in an environment that will be healthy, and an environment where Kenyans will be assured that the end product of that maize packet, maize flour packet that they get from their local supermarket is maize flour that has been grown or produced, transported, dried, processed in a very safe environment, Honorable Speaker, and therefore very safe for human consumption. Honorable Speaker, let me not belabor much because I had the hard task of choosing who to second this bill since it was processed by two committees. But the Honorable Pukose prevailed on me that this is more to do with health, that we are talking about health safety. Therefore, he did request that he seconds, and I want to beg that he seconds, but also beg your indulgence, Honorable Speaker, that you allow the Chair, Agriculture, to also contribute to this bill because he is one of the very major stakeholders. With that, I beg to move. And to second.
Hold on a moment. Honorable members, I wish to recognize the following schools who are in the Speaker's Gallery. Eronge Adventist School from Bochari constituency, Kisii County. Tasai School from Embakasi West constituency, Nairobi County. Garissa Academy from Garissa Township constituency, Garissa County. You're all welcome.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I stand to second this bill. I stand to second this bill, the Food and Feed Safety Control Coordination Bill 2023. Madam Speaker, on the onset, I want to thank my colleague, the Chair Agriculture, the Honorable Mutunga, member for Tigania West, for having graciously co-chaired this bill together with me. I also want to thank the office of the Majority Leader that was also ably represented during our public hearings on this bill, on public participation, that we were able to do consultations with the office of the Majority Leader, being the major sponsor of this bill. Honorable Speaker, we had many interested parties in this bill, both from the Ministry from Agricultural sector and also the health. We had the PS Health representing the team. We had also members of the Public Health Union coming and making their presentations. And we had also CAPES and other AFA and other institutions who came in with their amendments and proposals. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank both the Committee of Agriculture and the Committee of Health for having actually attended all these meetings, and we had enough quorum and a lot of interest in this bill in far as creating this coordination body that will coordinate the public institutions in food and feed safety. Honorable Speaker, this office is a state office. And at one stage, we were debating whether it should be domiciled in agriculture or domiciled in the Ministry of Health. But we feel that this is one of those offices that will be under the presidency, and through the executive order, the president will be able to place it properly within the presidency so that it can be able to coordinate all these other competent public institutions that are involved in food and feed safety. Honorable Speaker, one of the biggest challenges in this country is how to bring all these bodies together, how to bring the public health side together, how to bring those in the agriculture sector together, to make sure that the food that we feed and the food that we take to sell in other markets in the national community meets the standards. At one stage, Madam Speaker, we were debating on whether do we adopt international standards when it comes to food or the national standards. And I think it became a very heated debate. But lastly, I think we agreed that, you know, Kenya adopts international standards. And if we have to go to the market, then we must use the international standards that are agreeable internationally. Although other countries, their standards might also differ. But all in all, we must be able to go with the international standards, because that creates room for us to be able to make sure that if we are going to take our food out of our country, especially those involved in food business, then that food must be able to meet international standards. We are talking of avocados, we are talking of maize, which we might be able to sell within other regions, and many other foods that our country is able to produce, tea, coffee, and many other foods. We're also talking of animal feeds. And once we have this food safety and feed safety coordination controller, then we expect that this controller is able to bring all the public institutions together. It's able to bring those public institutions together to ensure that the food and the feed, both to our animals and both to ourselves, meets those required standards. The Majority Leader has given issues about at times you even watch, at times you are traveling on the road and you look at some of the vehicles, lorries, carrying vegetables. The vegetables are carried in a lorry and in an open place with all dust following into it. So I think that will be things of the past. At times you walk along the road and you see also people involved in meat butcheries, carrying meat in their bags. I think these are things that should be able to be done away with. And I remember at one time, even we had motorcycles and the bicycles bringing food to other institutions. I wouldn't want to say it is Parliament, but when we were in the Food and Catering Committee, we saw that some motorcycle bringing food for members to eat in Parliament. So I think these are things that should be done away with, and with the Food and Feed Safety Controller in place, we expect that they'll be able to come up with regulations. And some of those regulations are best enforced through self-regulation, whereby you as an individual who is involved in food and feed safety must make sure that the food that you're going to give to somebody else to eat is fit for yourself to consume, not just for business, but you feel that this food is good food, safe, it is not going to be harmful to anybody else. Because when you look at our Constitution, Article 43, 1D, and Article 46, 1D, it ensures that the food that we are providing must be safe and good and make sure that it is healthy for the person who is going to consume. So with those two remarks, Madam Speaker, I want to second.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that the Food and Feed Safety Control Coordination Bill, National Assembly Bill number 21 of 2023, be read a second time. Let me give the first opportunity to member for Garissa Township first, because he's got students here from his constituency.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. On behalf of the House, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome all the students from all the mentioned schools, and in particular, Garissa Academy. Garissa Academy is one of the first private schools which was established in the whole of Garissa County. Interestingly, it's one of the schools that is owned by non-locals. That means non-Somalis from the region, which was established in the early 90s. It's one of the best performing schools in the county of Garissa, which is domiciled again in my constituency. I take this opportunity again to advise all those students who are here, who've joined the House, to take this opportunity to learn as they aspire to be the next leaders of this country. On that note, Madam Speaker, I also want to take this opportunity to contribute on the bill which is or the motion which is on the floor of the House. As has been said, we are talking about the food and safety of our foods that we eat and the feeds for our animals. Madam Speaker, as you might have noticed, this country, we are facing very serious challenges on the issue of food handling, production and handling, as has been mentioned by both committees of health and agriculture. Madam Speaker, there is a high prevalence of cancer in our country, and we might attribute, some of us have thought about it, though not scientifically proven, that it might be the processed foods that we are importing into this country, which is not well regulated. We have a situation where any type of food comes to this country without proper regulations. Food handling in this country is very wanting, and I believe with the introduction of this Office of Control of Food Safety and Feed Safety, they will be taking care of these things. We have seen situations where food is grown on sewage lines. It has been reported in the past about that issue, food feeds and which has grown. We have markets, we are expecting international markets for our animals, and that means we should be able to take care of the kind of feeds we give to our animals so that they meet the international standards. If you are to export any food item out of this country to Western countries, Arab, Middle East, we face a lot of regulations, tests, procedures of how that food is handled from the growth period, from the production period to the packaging to the export. So I highly welcome the efforts of both committees of the House, that is Agriculture and Health, for the good work they have done. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I also wish to recognize Kapsabet Highlands Chesumei constituency, Nandi County, Sikri Junior Academy, Kasipul constituency, Homa Bay, Antasia School, Embakasi West constituency, Nairobi County. You're all welcome. I'll give the chairperson for agriculture.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity to also contribute to this particular bill. Honourable Speaker, the Food and Feed Safety Coordination Bill comes in basically to coordinate the control of safety in feed and food. Safety is important, Honourable Speaker, because lack of it would lead to infection and infestation. Lack of proper coordination, Honourable Speaker, on which institution plays which role basically leads to duplication of functions. And duplication of functions waste not only the time and resources. Honourable Speaker, lack of clarity also is important. I mean, it's critical so that we do not waste time when we are dealing with the issues of food. This particular bill does come in to amend a number of acts. It will amend, Honourable Speaker, the Food and Drugs and Chemical Substances Acts. It will amend the Kenyan Dairy Act, the Fertilizer and Food and Animal Foodstuffs Act, the Pest Control Act, the Meat Control Act, the Biosafety Act, and the Standards Act as well, the Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate Service Act, the Agricultural and Food Authorities Act, the Fisheries Management and Development Act, the Water Act, the Health Act. So all those acts are going to be amended in order to bring harmony to the functioning of the competent authorities that are supposed to be handling the food issues in this country. When I speak by competent authorities, I'm referring to the institutions that have the mandate to clear our food, either to come in or leave this country. When we import food from other countries, we rely on information be given by their competent authorities, which are recognized internationally. Our competent authorities in this particular respect, Honourable Speaker, the Council of Governors is hereby recognized, the Kenyan Bureau of Standards, the State Department for Public Health and Professional Standards, the State Department for Crop Development, the Pest Control and Produce Board, the National Biosafety Authority, the State Department for Livestock Development, the Plant Health Inspectorate Service, the Nature of Kenya, and also the Kenya Association. These are the participants who basically brought their presentations, some of them being competent authorities. The importance of having the competent authorities coordinate is because in the past, some of them have been claiming to play certain roles, and therefore these roles at some point have some duplication. Honourable Speaker, the other issue that is important is that we need to control feed safety, because lack of safety on the feed may lead to people eating food that is dangerous. So we need to be sure that the feed that is fed to our animals is safe. A classical example, Honourable Speaker, is a feed called, it's a fungal infestation that is called aflatoxin. Aflatoxin, toxicant, can affect a human being. If we feed our animals on mold and grain, those animals are most likely to transmit or pass that particular fungi to the human beings. On the other hand, Honourable Speaker, some diseases called zoonotic diseases affect both human and animals. And diseases related to feeding, which could be of zoonotic nature, need to be contained in view of making sure that we have feed safety. So food safety, feed safety, in the other ones, is actually food safety, because the